We are back here on Patriots No Huddle, brought to you by PatsFans.com. Mike Diabate, Steve Balsherry, Derek Havens here as your host today. We are going to be talking about the Patriots and Seahawks in the Super Bowl matchup. Bunch of other topics to talk about, gentlemen. Fired up for today's episode. It's a great time to be a Patriots fan and a Seahawks fan, for that matter. The two of the 32 franchises have, a lot of reason to celebrate right now, and there's a lot to talk about because there's never a dull moment in Patriots land, as we like to say on this program. Before we do anything, Steve, how you doing today, bud?
I've been freezing here. Hey, it's not supposed to be cold down this way.
Yeah, you escaped that.
We've been in the 30s every morning here. Of course, it's nice and warm right now, but that's beside the fact. I mean, on Monday morning, it's supposed to get to 28. I feel like I'm back in New England, except I'm looking out the window and looking at a palm tree. So that's kind of throws that off.
Yeah, Mike, how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. I'm listening to all the talk about that. I mean, right here in New England right now, 28. Yeah, that's kind of a heat wave. We're at about 21 right now, with the wind chill making it feel a little bit less covered in snow. But you know what though? It's New England Patriots weather, and you gotta love it.
Well, it's a balmy 67 here in Scottsdale, Arizona. So
well, it's 69 here right now, but
there you go.
I mean, in the mornings it's been cold.
Well, enough about the weather report from this end. We got so much to talk about, guys. Before we talk about the Super Bowl matchup, a couple of things right off the rip. For one, thank you for everyone who's listening live. We appreciate it. Those who are listening later, we appreciate you as well. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, like, share, leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. Keeps us high in those rankings so other Patriots fans can find us. There's the Bill Belichick topic with the Hall of Fame, which has been circulating. Obviously, we want to talk about the Super Bowl matchup, but I feel like it'd be a disservice if we didn't at least give any leftover thoughts from the championship game. So, Mike, I'll go to you first. Any leftover thoughts from the Patriots defeat, the Patriots defeating the Denver Broncos from last week?
I think basically all that needs to be said about this game pretty much has been. But I mean, I think a lot of people need to understand that a gritty win, an unpretty win, aesthetics don't count for much. It all counts as a win. And that's because you're New England Patriots right now. We're representing the AFC. It might not have been the best effort. It might not have been the most aesthetically pleasing effort. But this team consistently finds ways to win. And any team that has that puncher's chance and that mentality that as long as there's time left on the clock, there's something to get done. They can never be counted out. So to me, I think that's my indelible takeaway from this matchup with the Denver Broncos is, the elements were against them. They were away from home. Denver came out really quick, and then the Patriots were able to grind down and get the job done when their competition couldn't. Hopefully they got one more game like that left in them.
I totally agree. Style points don't matter. You could win by 1, you could win by 100. It's the same. It's going to go down as a win in the record books one way or the other. I mean, we know about this house of horrors that we've talked about. This Broncos team, there was a lot to be, worried about because they're a talented group. Obviously, the quarterback situation, was a big talking point. But honestly, the way the weather got towards the end, it was really about just more surviving it. And I just loved the thing I love about the win is it really just emulates the kind of grit and toughness and mentality that this Patriots team has really taken on and become. They go on the road, doesn't matter the environment. They're prepared for the schedule. They knew what they need on so many levels. The way that Mike Vrabel had the team, in position of what they needed to do in the second half to navigate the weather and hold on to the lead and thinking ahead about certain of those elements. Josh and Drake, their conversations that have been leaking on some of the mic'd up stuff that, that was awesome behind the scenes stuff. And guys knowing the situation. I mean, Drake May having the wherewithal of taking it himself and getting that first down, such a ballsy effort there, by him. But overall, just the grittiness of the win, Steve, to me was my biggest taking away point from this game, and it just shows you the mental toughness and of this team. And we've been talking all year about how this Patriots team is not getting the credit they deserve, and they're still not now. I'm not sure they ever will at this point. But Steve,
Nope.
I whether people give them credit or not, the fact remains this team has shown that they can win on the road in any situation.
Yeah, I love the whole Warriors thing they're doing. I mean, it's original, right? With the Road Warriors, I saw in the the post game celebration in the locker room. I thought that was really cool. Hey, look, and to Mike's point, right, about style points and whatever. Look at 59 years of Super Bowl rings. Show me one ring that says pretty win or weak schedule. It doesn't. That's all that matters. And like to all those sour grapes coming out of upstate New York, hey, too bad, right? You had your shot, you didn't make it. Patriots are in the Super Bowl. I gotta love it. I'll tell you what. The funniest thing I think I've seen. I was watching Rich Eisen the other day, and he had a mural up, and he was like, "Talk about your conspiracy theories." The NFL made a mural.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Prior to the season starting, and it had like a quarterback or star player from each team looking ahead. And there was a huge Lombardi trophy in the foreground or whatever. And the front two players of the mural in front of everybody else was Drake May and Sam Darnold.
Yep.
And Rich Eisen got a big kick out of it. And he was like, some things that just make you scratch your head.
Yeah, that was going around on NFL.com. That was from back in September. In fact, if anyone follows me on Twitter here, it's somewhere on my profile page in the last couple of days, because I know the picture, the graphic has Saquon Barkley in front, and then there's like you said, the representative of all the teams, and I'm like, that's not going to quiet the script talk. I mean, I know it's not real, but it's still kind of funny to see that.
The two guys that were way in front, actually would be in the background.
Right.
Of the picture, but
the closest to the Lombardi in the photo.
Yeah, they were closest to the Lombardi trophy, and I just thought that was pretty funny. And hey, look, you know what? It's a good time to soak it all in and enjoy it, because the Patriots hadn't been there in a few years, and it's good to be back. And it's so good to hear all the complaints from 30 other teams that why the Patriots are there, and I love it. I don't care.
Mike, you weren't on the immediate post game show. We weren't able to connect with you right after the game, so I want to ask you this: are you pro or con weather games? Especially for the postseason, because I think there's a pretty interesting debate over, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that's real football weather, etc. Some people say conditions such as the Broncos, and Patriots faced last week, it was really not football weather, quote, at the end of the game, because it was really just about like, I heard friend of the show, Paul Perillo, say this on Patriots.com. He's like, at that point, it's not really football, because you're just like survive. It's like almost turns into like surviving the weather. And I'm paraphrasing. I hope I'm not misrepresenting him. But essentially, it's like you're really just kind of surviving the game, which the Patriots did, and they executed it flawlessly. But Mike, what's your take on? Do you like that, or would you rather see more neutral site kind of games for the postseason? Because I do think there's talk of something like that trending to avoid some of these weather games in the postseason. I really do. I think that's something that the NFL is going to be on the table for.
Yeah. If you want my honest opinion, my laugh kind of echoes where Steve's coming from on this. I think it's part of the game. I love the element aspect of how games can be changed, how games can have, be affected by the weather. To me, that only enhances the job that the coaching staff needs to do, that your training staff needs to do, that the players need to do to make sure that they're ready to play through all this. It's been happening for a number of years. I mean, obviously you want player safety to be at the forefront, but as long as they can figure out a way to keep these guys safe, I do think it adds such a dimension to the game that's fascinating. And it almost adds a sort of like a mythical quality to some of these games. You remember the Snowball or the Ice Bowl, or, games where there have been elements that have affected the gameplay. To me, I think it only enhances which team is coming in more prepared and ready to win. And 9 times out of 10, you'll get the team that is more prepared and ready to win, notching the victory than not. So I do agree. I think that I'm a proponent of them. I would keep them in the game. But bottom line, I sort of agree with you, Derek. I think because the rumblings are out there and they're getting louder and they're starting to gain more of a public face, meaning that a lot more of the NFL talking heads and mouthpieces are bringing this to the forefront, it leads me to believe that, yeah, this is a consideration on the table. So,
and why? Why are they bringing it up after 60 years of Super Bowls and 40 years before that? It's only because the friggin' Patriots won an awful weather game. Look, you go back to the original, like the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Did the Dallas Cowboys try to say, no, we should be playing in a dome? Nobody said that back then, right? Yeah, the game Cincinnati played, I want to say the Chargers. It was like the coldest game ever. Wind chills were like down in the minus 30s. Nobody talked about that. That's what home field advantage is. Especially, you go back 2 weeks ago, the Patriots were playing a dome team in awful weather in New England. And the Patriots practiced in it, and they played very well in it. And the Houston Texans did not. And now all of a sudden, the Denver Broncos lost, and now we have to move it to a dome. Screw that. I'm sorry. Screw that. It's only because New England won. If Denver won going away, you wouldn't hear a word about that. As bad as the weather was. Say the Broncos scored 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Do you think there would have been a peep over that?
Probably
not a bit.
But
it's
I do
because
think
it was New England. And let's call it what it is. This is a bunch of whining bullshit.
I would say that I do think the conversation about some of this weather stuff was before the game, but I agree with your larger point. For the record, I am not anti weather. I'm pro weather games, but I do think it's something the NFL will consider doing for these championship games, and they're worried about for Super Bowls. But you know what? Part of me, just with, I don't know, with how the league's trending, with all these teams building new stadiums that are in domes, I just think it's going to be trending towards that, and you can have a feel. I think that would suck if they were all domes. I kind of like Fred Kirsch's idea that I've heard him say in the past, also friend of the show. If you're going to have a dome, the roof can be open. I think he said, again, if you want to build a dome, he gets it, because for events and things like that, to make money out of it year round, you have a dome that flies. But if it's a football stadium, the roof needs to be open for football games, so there's still a weather element. Again, paraphrasing, but I get it. I mean, there's a couple of different ways to look at it. I think it's tough when it gets to a game where it's almost unplayable. But to your point, it's a interesting factor of how teams are prepared and what needs to happen for all sorts of things.
See, that's why they have the Super Bowl and in a quote unquote warm weather or dome, right? It's okay. But up until that point, when you're still playing for your conference championship, home field has an advantage. And if you take that away, what's the point of home field then? If you're going to play in a neutral stadium, that's it. It defeats the whole purpose of the regular season.
Yeah, no. Anyway, I thought it was worth at least bringing it up, because I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least
of course. I mean, look, the overtime rules changed because the Patriots beat Patrick Mahomes. right? Then all of a sudden it was like, oh, no. Everyone needs to have a chance to get the ball.
And there was talk about that with Josh Allen too, and I'm pretty sure Josh Allen has gone 0 and 0 and 7 or whatever since those rules were changed. but it is neither here nor there. Anyways, speaking of someone who knows the weather very well, Bill Belichick in a stunner is not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Anyone who's listening to the show, I'm going to make the assumption people know what we're talking about, and because we don't have to recap the entire situation, but essentially he did meet the threshold of 40 votes to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's a lot of talk about Bill Polian. Of course, he's on the the warpath, going around doing the car wash, basically saying, oh, this isn't true, even though he doesn't remember who the hell he's voting for. I don't know. Here's a thought: if you can't remember who you're voting for, it's time to reconsider your standing of whether you should have a vote or not. This is going to spark a lot of debate. I think, Mike, you put it really well in our group chat offline. What a crock! I think it's absolute total bullshit. With this whole thing with Bill, it's all personal bias, politics, all that stuff. So what? He's going to pay a year penance because some people don't like him, or because of the cheating, or because of the cheating allegations, or any of that kind of stuff. It is what it is. I think if you are looking at it and saying that a head coach with Bill Belichick's resume isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, then there's no point of having a Hall of Fame in general. Mike, what do you think?
Oh, 100% agreed. If I handed you a blind resume, and on that resume you look and you see 8 Super Bowl rings, 333 wins, that's the second most in NFL history, 17 AFC East titles, 31 playoff wins, 3 times AP Coach of the Year, and you see that the guy's been around and doing this job in some way, shape, or form for 50 plus years. If that is not a first ballot Hall of Fame resume, what in God's name are we doing in that committee? I mean, really, what kind of stuff are they passing around in that room that's allowing 11 guys to leave saying, I didn't vote
at least
for Bill
11.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. At least 11. And I didn't vote for Bill Belichick, and I have a very strategic and very, rational reason why. No, you don't. You have no reason. You're an idiot if that's what you're doing. Really, I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, I understand there are some people that will never like Bill because of his demeanor. They'll never like him because he was cantankerous with the media. Some people don't like the fact that, he's dating someone young enough to be his granddaughter. There are all different reasons why people may dislike Bill Belichick on a personal level. But if anybody looks at that resume and says that's not first ballot Hall of Fame material, yeah, you're letting your bias sneak through and you're letting your petty jealousy sneak through. So if I seem animated, it's because a couple of days have passed and I'm still upset about this.
A tweet that took me out the other day, and it was a joke, but it's still hilarious, was that if Bill Belichick can wait 49 years for his girlfriend to be born, then he can wait one more year for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. That one got me.
You know what? I'm sorry to say it, though. The material is there. It's just
the material's
so
there.
easy.
But to
it's
your
like
point,
shooting fish in a barrel. You got to go
is
for
fishing
it,
with dynamite, rather.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still upset about it too, because the whole thing is ridiculous. In the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Robert Kraft are going to need their own freaking wing. So to me, it really goes against. Just what the Hall of Fame should be. I think their credibility took a hit. And I think that they're getting a lot of backlash, and from a lot of people who are not usually pro-Patriot supporters. It's just kind of like, what are we doing here? And you saw athletes and from all across the country and all across the world and being like, what is going on? Steve, what are your thoughts on this?
And you can't sell me on anything other than it's personal bias. Because if you look, the Patriots with six Super Bowl wins, and they're the most underrepresented team in the Hall of Fame. You look at those Steelers teams and those Cowboys teams and whoever, they're loaded with guys in the Hall of Fame. Patriots? No. And tell me that's not bias. the Patriots are going to their 11th Super Bowl under Robert Kraft since Jerry Jones and the Cowboys went, and yet Jerry Jones is in the Hall of Fame. All right, so tell me it's not an anti-Patriots bias, okay? And look, if you're going to use Deflategate or whatever, Spygate or whatever, Bill Belichick was never suspended for that. He was fined. So you're going to hold back a guy's Hall of Fame resume over a fine because that's all it was. And then when you see the comments from other coaches, Jimmy Johnson, Bill Cowher, Mike Shanahan, about that whole Spygate thing, it shows you how overblown that entire thing was. So this is petty bias, and Bill Polian is full of crap. Okay, sorry, I'm going off again, but yeah, I mean, I was firmly for Bill, but I don't recall how I voted a day and a half ago. Really? You can't remember if you voted for him or not?
I definitely think there's going to be some conversation about how that whole situation went down. I think it. I want to say it was Evan Lazar that said this. I guess that's a Patriots.com kind of shout out today, but I want to say it was Evan Lazar who said that his theory was that they leaked it out. The Hall of Fame leaked it out to get ahead of it, so that the backlash would come first. So when they make the announcement of who's getting in, it's not just all about who didn't get in. Again, paraphrasing, and I hope I'm not misrepresenting what he said, but I think it was something along those lines.
Well, he could have something there, plus the fact that would have dominated the conversation the day before the Super Bowl.
Exactly. So
Exactly.
I still think there's just put it this way, there's too much conversation about the politics, not about like the actual process, and that's the problem.
Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head, Derek. I think right now what you need is an evaluation of the process. How is this voting system working? Why are senior members being lumped in with legacy players and being lumped in with active players that, have the opportunity? Well, not active.
Yeah,
but,
and that's
in other
dumb
words,
too. It's either they're in
exactly.
or they're not in.
There are so many. And then I think to Steve's point, and I don't want to steal his thunder because Taylor Kyles was the one that mentioned this on social media. And we went back and forth and kind of joked about it after I commented on his tweet. If you can't remember who you voted for, do you really deserve a vote any longer? I mean, I really think that.
I mean, it wasn't like 10 years ago.
Exactly. I mean, this is not, exactly. This is not going back like 10, 15 years ago. This is fairly recent. So,
and what are the odds? What's the percentage that he does know who he voted for? He just used that as an excuse, because I'd put that over 99%.
Plausible deniability.
So at least I'd respect it if he came out and said, I didn't vote for Bill Belichick, and here's why. It's okay. I mean, the three of us can sit here and say that's idiotic and we have different opinions, but at least he can have his own opinion. That's fine. But it's like, at least own it, take the accountability for it, instead of just going on this charade of
just,
like,
and tell the truth of why.
Yeah. Okay? Just own it.
Yeah. It's not, it had nothing to do with, anything other than petty jealousy. And again, I don't remember who tweeted this. It might have been Taylor Kyles. I might be wrong on this, but hey, look, they said Bill Polian was with Buffalo, right? And he has a lot of sour grapes toward Bill Belichick because Bill Belichick was the defensive coordinator for the Giants, and his defensive game plan is already in the Hall of Fame. For beating the Buffalo Bills, who came up 0-4 with Polian there. And then Polian went on, Polian lambasted Belichick for drafting Aaron Hernandez. But yet he drafted in Carolina Ray Caruth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, he went on to building his teams in Indianapolis, who try to get the rules changed like every year after they got snuffed by New England in the playoffs. So there's a lot of sour grapes there. And, I don't buy for a second that Polian wasn't behind it.
Any final thoughts on this, Mike?
No, I think basically everything that we need to say has been said. I mean, I think we also need to remember Bill Belichick is eventually getting into the Hall of Fame. I mean, this vote
Yeah.
doesn't mean one and done, that he'll never get in and he's completely shut out. He will be, and most likely it'll be next season. But when you look at the fact that this guy did more for the game than any other coach in recent memory, maybe than any other coach in history. I know you can put guys like Lombardi in that category who helped change, the game, and then and other coaches that have been, really revered among the top levels. I'm not saying that Belichick is alone on a Mount Rushmore. There are several coaches that have helped to build the NFL into where they are. But you look at the modern NFL and navigating through free agency, navigating through the salary cap, and still being able to build the type of dynasty that he did. To me, I don't know what else you need to do in order to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So to me, that's something that has been taken away from Bill, and it's unjustly taken away because he deserves that honor. But now the door is open for him to potentially walk in the door in Canton with Tom Brady. So you never know. Maybe things happen for a reason, and we'll see what happens in the future. But
I can't
he
wait
deserves it though.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear that acceptance speech when it does happen.
Well, I think that's what makes me kind of the most mad about the situation. See, if Bill Belichick was one of those coaches that was like borderline Hall of Fame, no one would be up in arms. The point is that it's an obvious like it. Again, blind resume. Is he all in the Hall of Fame? Yes. So it's not like a debate about that. It seems like it's more about the politics of him not being deemed a quote unquote first ballot, and the people who voted against him are simply doing it so he doesn't get that kind of credit, if that makes sense. It's not like it's like no, yeah, he's a Hall of Fame coach, because we know he's going to get in, but he's not going to get the first ballot Hall of Fame because we don't like some of the things he did or we don't like him personally. I don't know. That's kind of more what
He
I,
was mean to
yeah.
the media.
Yeah, wah, wah, wah. So now, yeah, okay, we'll see you next year. Anyways, there's some other news I want to talk about. Hop around the AFC East real quick. We haven't really talked much, but I was saying to Steve the other day, I kind of looked up and all of a sudden I didn't recognize the coaches around the division in the AFC East. I'm like, the AFC East, obviously you have Aaron Glenn staying. Now you have Jeff Hafley with the Dolphins, and then now of course with the Bills, they promoted Joe Brady as their head coach. I have some thoughts on that. I know Steve does as well. But Mike, I'll start with you. Thoughts going around the AFC East coaching landscape?
Oh, interesting to say the least. Who would have thought that Mike Vrabel would be the most longest tenured coach in the AFC East? The guy's been on the job for a year. Really, I mean, it's interesting times that we live in, gentlemen. When you look at
Boy,
what's going on throughout the AFC East right now, obviously Aaron Glenn, going to get another opportunity, another shake in New York, and we'll see what happens there. If you take a look at what the Bills did, I think maybe they batted around the lineup a little bit and then elevated Joe Brady to eventually end up being their head coach. And Miami, just the situations right now in this division really leave the door wide open for the New England Patriots to be able to continue their spot atop this division. Which may explain why some people in Western New York are so salty right now. They really feel like their window just closed and they got shut out. They had their opportunities, they had everything lined up for them, and they still weren't able to get the job done. So, yeah, I guess I'd be upset there too. But I don't see anything that's really a needle mover in terms of who's going to take this team to the next level, meaning the Buffalo Bills or the Miami Dolphins. I think they're good hires. I wouldn't stop and say that, oh, these are terrible hires for these teams. I don't know what they're thinking. They're competent coaches, and I think they'll do a fine job. But I don't see, anything that's going to necessarily move the needle forward. McDaniel, I think that a change had to be made there. I don't blame Miami for doing what they're doing, but with McDermott to simply hand the ball over to Brady, I don't necessarily know if this was the move they expected, but it's the move they're making. So we'll see what happens in Buffalo. To me, that's the one to watch. this season if you're a Patriots fan.
Aaron Glenn's doomed to fail because the Jets are gonna jet. I mean, it just kind of fait accompli.
They just did. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jeff Hafley, I like as a coach. I'm curious about what his imprint, is on the team as a head coach at this level. Obviously, coming from BC and then going to the Packers to be DC. I'll just, again, he has a pretty good reputation, so we'll see what we got going on over there in Miami. As far as the Bills go, Steve, I know you and I have talked about this ad nauseum on air, or off air, but it's a huge risk for me. Joe Brady's the big one. That's like, and Mike, I'll get Steve's thoughts after this, but I want to get your thoughts on this afterwards. Mike, is to me, the Joe Brady risk is huge because yes, on the positive side, you could get a young, forward-thinking offensive mind that already has a good relationship with Josh, and they could be paired together, and things could work great, and they're together for the rest of Josh's career, which could be 10 more years. And you just kind of keep things moving. The downside, he's not ready to be a head coach, which I kind of feel, but he's not ready to be a head coach, and the Bills aren't going to be bad enough to be a top 5 pick next year. So because Josh Allen's so good that they're going to be at least middle of the pack for the next couple of years anyway, even with a talent deficiency on the roster, which is why it's puzzling Brandon Beane is still there, but because the roster is really the biggest issue more than anything. But they tied their boat to Brandon Beane, and if it doesn't work out with Brady, now you've wasted Josh Allen's prime. So there's a lot of issues there. I think it's a huge risk by Buffalo to me, because it's like, if it doesn't work out, it's a 2-3 year thing. Now Josh Allen's, entering the back end of his prime, and how long and is he really playing at a high level given his style of play? So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, let me just start off with the Jets. They kept Aaron Glenn, which I mean, they didn't feel like he got a legitimate shot, but then they got rid of almost his entire staff. I mean, they fired everybody but him. So it's like, what are you doing here, right? I honestly, I don't have any bad feelings about the Miami hire. I mean, it's going to be interesting because I think they need a lot of change there. We'll see how that works out. But going back to Buffalo, Joe Brady, I don't know, man. It's like, and you and I talked about this. I had been listening to some stuff and reading, and apparently they said from different sources or whatnot that the Pagulas value loyalty, and that they disagreed a lot with McDermott, but they felt like the problem with the team was personnel and that their roster wasn't strong enough. Well, that's not the head coach. That's the GM. But Beane has ingratiated himself with the Pagulas, so he got promoted, and McDermott got the axe. Now, say what you will, I thought McDermott was a very good coach, but as I think we're all in agreement, in big games, sometimes he blinked. And it was invariably, he's a defensive coach and a very good one at that. I mean, I'll give him his props, but it was the Bills' defense that let them down in a lot of those big games.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now getting back to Joe Brady, look, the Bills' offense this year, I think, was talent deficient, except for 2 people. I think you look at the reason they won 12 football games was because of Cook and Josh Allen. And, they frequently asked Josh Allen to, do Josh Allen type stuff and be Superman, which ended up costing them in that final playoff game. But you look at that game that they beat the Patriots, they were down 21-0. And then Allen caught fire and started doing crazy Josh Allen stuff, and they came back and won the game.
Right.
But, the Brady was criticized all year long by fans and media alike up in Buffalo, and the criticism wasn't because of his personnel. They said, his play calling was too simplified, and that opposing teams knew what they were going to run. And the reason they succeeded was because of the talent of Cook and Josh Allen, not because of the scheme. Well, now you've given him the keys to the whole castle. And I don't know if that's going to work. I'm really, I'll be curious to see how this all plays out.
And that's a great point, Steve. That is a really, really good point. I'm sorry, Derek. I didn't mean to interject, but
no, you were
I don't think that's mentioned enough, because when you look at the Belichickian defenses that gave Josh Allen fits early in his career, even midway into his career, when the Bills started to emerge and eclipse the Patriots as the class in the AFC East, everybody's knock on Josh was always keep him from rolling out, keep him in the pocket, protect him, make sure that you let him beat you with his arm and his decision making, because eventually he's going to heave it up there. He's going to get frustrated and he's going to make a mistake. You kind of wear him down until you get to the point where all of a sudden he becomes mortal, and then you can get to him. Joe Brady was brought in to be able to do that, to make sure that whatever Josh was running under Brian Daboll and his, quote unquote comfort zone was not going to be there anymore. He was going to challenge him to be a little bit more adaptable when it came to his game planning. You haven't seen that. If anything, like Steve said, the athleticism of Josh Allen does help you at times, but the sort of predictable nature of the way Joe calls games hasn't really been what everyone has hoped for from the Bills offense. So, yeah, I think there are serious concerns there, and I think that's a very good one to bring up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, look, it could work out. I mean, I know Josh Allen has come out publicly and said, he's all for Joe Brady, but I don't know. I watched that offense, and look, even the game that they beat the Patriots, it wasn't because they schemed something up. It was because Josh Allen and Cook did, incredible things because of their physical talent. And, those are the times when you just tip your hat, right, to the other team, because, you can have everything aligned for you, but sometimes, Allen will do those things. And, but, when you get in those big games, look, granted, the offense, they had a good game in Denver. They just kept turning the ball over. But those questions remain, I think, for Joe Brady. And it's going to be interesting to see whether or not, he can turn everything around. I know that they're going to go through some changes next year, especially because of salary cap. They need to part ways with a bunch of people to get under the salary cap. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. There's gonna be a lot of changes, but I think that it is interesting. I wanted to at least talk about the AFC East landscape. We haven't really checked in on it. There'll be plenty more to dive into over the offseason. I thought with all the changes it'd be, worth mentioning. But obviously we have the game to talk about, the big game coming up. So we could start so many different areas with the game. Let's start with an overview of the Super Bowl in general. Obviously, gentlemen, it is a big event with a ton of different obligations for the players. It's not a normal week. There's a lot to do. I'm really excited personally, from a fan perspective. Love Radio Row Week next week. It'll be a lot of great content, a lot of good interviews. I know, obviously all the local Boston, New England stations are going to be present. I know Patriots.com is doing a ton of stuff down there for 4 hours a day. I think Tuesday through Friday they're going to be broadcasting. So that's going to be great to go ahead and see. I think though, just initial thoughts on the matchup. I think it's going to be a great game. I still think some people are in this illusion that the Seahawks are just going to roll the Patriots. I do think the Seahawks are top to bottom a more talented roster. But I think the Patriots have been really undervalued as a team the entire year. I don't think people are paying close enough attention to how well the Patriots defense has played. And I think for the Patriots, not only are both teams really well coached, I like the coaching staff a lot for both teams, but from a Patriots perspective that I don't think enough people are talking about, they match up really well with the Seahawks too, with some of the things that they want to do. And I think the Gonzalez and JSN matchup is going to be fascinating throughout the game. So I'm excited to see some of those things: Mike McDonald versus Mike Vrabel, JSN and Christian Gonzalez, the fronts on both sides. It's going to be, there's going to be a lot of talk about the Patriots offensive line, which there should be, but the Seahawks, they there's a bunch of guys with 7 different sacks. I think DeMarcus Lawrence has 6. So they don't really have like a one guy threat. They all can kind of swarm you there. And the Patriots also have their killers up front as well. So it's exciting from a matchup standpoint. Anything, Mike, as you're kind of just looking at the just Super Bowl from a macro view, anything that you love about the event kind of leading up to it? And what are your initial thoughts on the game?
Well, media night's always fun. I mean, you're going to get a chance to see the different sides of a lot of players. I know there's an awful lot of fluff that comes along with it, and media members that are going to be there and that are going to try to draw the attention on themselves. But I always enjoy watching players get a chance to let their guard down a little bit and tell stories they normally wouldn't tell to the local media or in the course of game preparations. I can remember a few years ago about Tom Brady getting emotional when talking about his dad being his hero. And I can really identify with that, having lost my dad at a young age and understanding the importance of the pride that my father always had in me when he looked at me. And I accomplished next to nothing compared to what Tom Brady accomplished in his life, but just the pride of my being his son. And that's really what touched me about listening to Brady that night and hearing him talk about the pride that he felt, knowing that his father was proud of him. Those are the moments to me that are indelible. Those intricate moments that people spend with their families, or that family and personal life kind of comes together. Those always tend to happen with the Super Bowl. The same thing with Brady's mom a couple of years later when she was fighting cancer. And it was the first game she was able to go to in I don't know how long. And it ended up being the 28-3 comeback at NRG Stadium in Houston against the Atlanta Falcons, and him walking over and hugging his mom afterwards. That was such an indelible moment for me. So I don't know if anything quite that emotional is going to be, part of this week, but I always look forward to those personal type stories, and hopefully there will be at least a couple. Hopefully on a Patriots winning side, but regardless, I always enjoy hearing that, whether it's the team that you have an investment in, or whether it's the opponent. Both sides have worked hard to get to this point, and they all enjoy the opportunity. I should say they've all earned the opportunity to enjoy it. But from a game standpoint, I'm looking forward to seeing Drake May and Sam Darnold, comparing them side by side, watching their tendencies, how they run their offenses, and watching these guys go up against one another. But I really think this one's going to come down to which defense is going to be able to control their offense. I think the defenses are going to take center stage here. I think Seattle's defense is versatile. They're a chameleon-like unit, whereas if you're showing pressure or whatever, or they can adapt to whatever you're trying to do to neutralize them, and that makes them very dangerous. This Patriots defense is straightforward. We're going to come at you. We're going to come at you hard, and we're going to come at you often. And you know what? We're not going to make any apologies for who we are. It's worked so well up until this point. No reason for me to believe that it's going to stop anytime soon. So that's what I'm looking forward to most from a game standpoint.
Steve, what about you?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great football game, right? Seattle is an awesome football team. They won 14 games for a reason. Look, they, as you said, top to bottom, they're very deep. They're very talented. But the one thing, and again, I mean, as Chris pointed out, everyone's underestimated the Patriots defense all year long. And when the matchup came out, ESPN did a big write-up on it, and they had a slew of analysts all picked the Seahawks, and they were all saying the same thing. Seattle's defense can shut down New England's offense, which I believe could happen, okay? But not one of them said, hey, this Patriots defense could shut down Seattle's offense. And look, I'm hands down the way Sam Darnold played against the Rams in the conference championship game. I think if that Sam Darnold shows up, I think Seattle will probably win this game. But we've seen, and it happened a lot during the season, he goes through these phases where pressure can get to him, and I think that's how the Patriots have to. That's how they have to address this game. Hey, look, we need to get after Sam Darnold, and we need to, force him into making some of the mistakes that he's been prone to make. And that's the compelling part of this game, because I think the Patriots defense can hang with them. Now, JSN, Kenneth Walker, Shaheed, who they picked up, mid-season,
Right.
trade deadline. Those guys are all outstanding football players, right? And you have to be aware of where they're at all the time. But they have guys that could hang with them. So it's going to be a great chess match. I'm looking forward to this game. And look, the Patriots offense has to play a ton better. We all know that. But for the first time since the playoffs started, hopefully there's going to be good weather.
It should be. It should be good weather. I mean, if you're talking about anything, it would just be rain.
Right, but,
I'm sure the temperature will be fine.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, but we just don't need a monsoon, during
no,
the game.
of course.
But I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do, and that's going to be a tough matchup. I think Seattle's defense is really, really good, but I remember in 2014 they were really, really good too, and nobody gave the Patriots much shot. Being able to beat the Legion of Boom, and look what happened.
Well, I think too with I think that the offense is absolutely going to have to score points. Now, they did
Yeah.
have some success putting some points on the board in Houston, but overall, the offense has not been great in the postseason. Now, to your point about the weather, hopefully that's not a factor, which I do think will help. But they're going to have to score points against this team. You talk about the weapons. I kind of see, to me, it starts with JSN and Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, the tackling is going to have to be on point in this game. He is so electric and so explosive. He's able to, when the ball's in his hands, he's extremely dangerous. So how they contain Kenneth Walker is going to be, probably number one with a bullet, and JSN is right there behind him. Shaheed, he kind of is a one-trick pony, but it's a damn good trick. He's a really explosive player. I kind of like the matchup of the Patriots front seven on Walker, Gonzo, on JSN, and I'm thinking Marcus Jones follows Cooper Kupp around in the slot. The question is, what do you do with Shaheed? And that might be more of, you probably have Davis on him with help over the top, or or something like that.
I think Davis would be on Cooper Kupp, and you'd put Marcus Jones on Shaheed, speed on speed.
Yeah, that I could see that, and I could see that as well. I was thinking, just even though Kupp's not the player he was, his ability to line up kind of anywhere, I kind of liked the height matchup more for Jones, is kind of where I was inside, outside, more versatility there. That's kind of how I was thinking it. But I mean, either way, I do like the matchup. I think that's going to be fascinating. I think the running game for both teams is going to be incredibly important. Both teams are going to want to run the ball and shut down the run. I think it's going to be critical for to see what Josh McDaniels comes up with on offense for this game. The game plan they have for how to get Drake May into a rhythm, how to get comfortable, what kind of wrinkles then they put in, and that could be ultimately dictated how the game unfolds, given the success, if they have any, with their ability to run the ball.
Yep.
Mike, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think you make some great points. And look, getting back to Seattle's offense as well. Again, this is a team that I don't think gets enough credit for the weapons that they have offensively. Do not sleep on tight end A.J. Barner. Barner is a guy that has not necessarily lit the world on fire in the postseason. He caught only 2 or 3 targets, 13 yards last week against the Rams, but he has 6 touchdown passes caught over 17 games this season. He is someone that could be a target in the red zone. So the Patriots cannot go to sleep on these guys, knowing that between JSN, between Rashid Shaheed, and of course Cooper Kupp, they've got versatile receivers that can beat you. Kenneth Walker, I agree with you, Derek, is a phenomenal weapon. When the ball is in his hands, really electric things can happen. But don't sleep on the tight end, because if there is one issue that the Patriots defense still continues to have, it's covering those big bodies in the intermediate areas of the field and in the red zone. So they got to make sure to clamp down and not forget about him.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve?
To your point, Derek, about the running game, I read something from Evan Lazar yesterday, and here we go again with more Patriots.com stuff. But look, I think this is a telling point of how they like to run the ball. And I'll read you what Evan wrote, so there's no misunderstanding here. The Seahawks might have thrown the ball around to reach the Super Bowl last week, but they were last in the NFL in called pass rate up until Darnold's high-volume passing game versus the Rams. Seattle plays over half its snaps from under center, 52.6%, second in the league, and has the second run pass play action rate in the NFL, 62.8, and only puts 3 wide receivers on the field for 41% of their offensive plays, 29th. This is a run-heavy operation built off the stretch play. There you go.
Yep. Well said and well articulated, as Evan usually does. By the way,
I always does.
always. And I don't know if people care about this or not, but the Patriots announced they're wearing their all-white uniforms. They are 4-0 on the season. For those of you who care, I love the white jerseys personally. But I'm not. I mean, I miss the old Patriots, the Brady era Patriots jerseys more. But that's a story for another day. But I do like the white. I do like the white jerseys. Some people might disagree with having the white pants too. The Patriots just, again, I'm talking about this because sometimes people care about it. If you don't, I'll just be quick. The Patriots are technically classified as the home team, so they were able to pick their uniform choice first. They elected to wear white on white, but really that means that they pick white as far as the tops go. The Seahawks have to go with the darker colors, or they have to go with the navy tops, but they have also elected to do the navy bottom, so it is going to be navy white color game. Again, for those who care about it, I thought I would throw it out. I would throw that out there. Another interesting factor, guys, is going to be obviously the quarterbacks in this game. And, Drake May has made some really good decisions overall. We know about the fumbling, and the fumbling issues are obviously a concern, and that's not going to go away. This has to be a turnover clean game for the Patriots, no doubt about it. But when May overall throughout the regular season, when they're not playing in blizzards and torrential rain, they were able to, he was able to get the offense to perform at a high level and turn himself into a potential MVP, winner. But the Seahawks defense presents a lot of challenges. It's not too similar, as far as defenses go. I don't know where you guys would rank the Seahawks defense, but I think this is good. Besides the Texans, I mean, to me, this is, one of the biggest challenges. And then on the flip side with Darnold, he's coming off maybe the best game of his entire career. And he looked really good doing it. And how the Patriots affect him certainly will have an outcome on the game. Again, I know they're going to want to run the ball, but I think if you can take away or at least minimize that run game, I think there is an opportunity there for mistakes to happen for Darnold. I do think that's on the table. Mike, what are your thoughts on the quarterback situation?
Yeah, I think right now, if you're looking at the way Sam Darnold is playing, he's playing at a level that is making Jets fans cringe, which I absolutely love. But at the same time, you got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, really, this is a guy that was essentially left for dead on the green side of the Meadowlands, and he's come back to really not only carve a nice little niche out in a career, but he's also gone on to do some pretty great things in Seattle and has his team one win away from a Super Bowl. I mean, you have to respect that, considering we're not too far removed from the I'm seeing ghost days that we saw years ago when it came to Sam and what he's done. But look, there is a lot to be said for the style of play that he's got. He's going to be always in the top of the rankings when it comes to pass attempts, when it comes to completions, passing yards. He's not going to lead any of these, but he's always going to be near the top. So what does that mean? Your Patriots defense has got to be ready for pretty much anything that he can throw at you. From what we're hearing, there might be some soreness with that oblique muscle. That's something that I would at least keep an eye on. I know, a lot of the injury, stuff this week has been completely overblown when it comes to both quarterbacks. I don't think either one of these are going to be a major factor, but you never know when something comes in, if it could end up being something that rears its ugly head. But bottom line, I think that Darnold right now is going to try to do what other teams have done against the Patriots. Try to see if you can draw that aggressiveness in and attack the intermediate areas of the field. And again, from what I was saying before, try to go at the Patriots from their strength. If they can try to attack in the red zone or try to attack in the intermediate areas, they might have an opportunity to get some yardage. So Donald is someone I would absolutely keep a close eye on and watch what he's going to do this week. Watch how he comes out early. That could be telltale in how to defend him in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and look, you have to give the guy his props, right? He's won 14 games 2 years in a row with two different football teams. Okay, and a lot of people forgot about how good he was in Minnesota because of the way the playoff game unfolded, and I get that. Okay, it was not a good look, but at the same time, he did it again with Seattle this year, so you can't discount him completely by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's done really, really well. So we'll see how it plays out. But Drake May needs to be on top of his game as well. And I think if they show a lot of man coverage, then by all means they need to, utilize his legs again.
I just hopped in here, Jim. I'm sorry I had to step away. I am excited for the matchup, though. Have you guys thought about your predictions? Obviously, we're not going to give them right now, but I am kind of curious how close you guys think the game's going to be. I was actually about to check what the spread is for the game currently. I know that it opened up at 4.5, and then kind of has been shifting back and forth a little bit here. But I'll get the live update from DraftKings right now. I'm kind of curious what the odds
it's
are.
It's going to be 4 points one way or the other.
Right. And so we're going to find out here. Let's see. Yeah, right now the Seahawks are favored by 4.5. So the over-under's at 45.5. I think that's a pretty good number because I could see both teams. I see both teams getting to 20s, but I don't know. I mean, it could be a total dogfight. Maybe we're looking at like a 20-17 kind of game for all I know. I could see something like that, but
Fans would hate it.
I'm sorry.
Fans would hate it.
Yeah, well, they're gonna hate it anyway. I mean, no matter what. I mean, the only way is if the Patriots win, then you'll hear that it sucked no matter what. So no matter how it's done, the Patriots could win 30-0, and people will dislike it.
Exactly. With some sort of controversy that surrounded it, something that made it easy for the Patriots to win.
Yeah,
you
they
can't
face
forget
another
that.
easy schedule, right?
Yep, exactly. Oh, they face Sam Darnold. Oh, that's an easy road. Anybody could beat him. I could beat him in a game.
Yeah, well, he beat Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, everyone's MVP.
He beat Joe Lewis's ass.
But again, I
get that reference.
we'll have the we'll have to do the predictions next week. As far as next week's schedule goes, We'll do our. We'll have to. Well, we might as well talk about it just live. I figure we'll do our show in the kind of our normal ramp up show, middle of the week, whether that's Wednesday or Thursday. I guess we'll have to talk and decide because I do want to. Part of the show is there's as there always is. There's always some kind of news, some rumors, speculation throughout Radio Row week, just because it's like this is just like the combine for the rest of the NFL, the owners meeting, a lot of whispers, a lot of agents, a lot of executives, a lot of, family members. People are talking at bars and restaurants after hours around the event. There's just a lot going on. So it'll be curious to see what leaks out. Usually this is the start of when, free agency and player contract situation and rumors start to kind of creep up, is right around this because as far as for the Patriots and Seahawks goes, the focus is on the game, but for everyone else, they're already focusing on the off season. So,
well, I guarantee you by this time next week, there'll be the latest, quote unquote, Patriots scandal coming out.
It's always something. I'm glad you're optimistic.
I am optimistic because I guarantee you something will come in the news. You watch.
Yeah, there's always something. Final thoughts, gentlemen, to wrap up the show for the day. Steve, I'll start with you. I'll go next, and then Mike, your final thoughts and take us out.
Go right ahead, Derek. I've vented enough today.
Okay. Well, my final thoughts here on just the Super Bowl is I still somehow can't believe the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. It really has. It still doesn't feel real. And I'm talking about whether you want to talk from just a media observer, as a fan. I think a lot of people are feeling the same way that are covering the team, just the same as fans are. It's pretty incredible how much this team has grown over the year. The level of the lack of credit that they continue to get is pretty astounding, considering at this point, all the amount of games that they've won. So to be at this point 17-3 and have a chance to win 21 games on the year, win a Super Bowl in Vrabel's first year is just remarkable to me. And their last game again is just such a testament to the grittiness of this team, the toughness. It's just going to be, to me, the keys are going to be just, are they able to keep Drake May upright, eliminate those turnovers, and maximize those, those scoring opportunities, because these points are going to matter. They faced a lot of some inept offenses at times, whether it's the Broncos, whether it's the Chargers, given certain factors, and the Texans, even for that matter, with the turnover issues that they've had. The Seahawks, they if they don't turn the ball over, they're going to be putting points on the board, but it's going to come down to the red zone. Obviously, is going to be key for both teams in this one. So it'll be fun leading up to the game to really dive into it all with more. Mike, your final thoughts and take us out, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. Final thoughts for the time being, folks. I came across this tidbit thanks to the Patriots media team, and I thought this was fascinating, and I thought we'd share, this before we take our leave from the airwaves today. Folks, 5 schools, colleges, universities have produced both a U.S. president and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't know if you guys know this. Delaware had President Joe Biden and Super Bowl winning quarterback Joe Flacco. Miami, Ohio, not Miami in Florida, Miami, Ohio, had Benjamin Harrison as president and Ben Roethlisberger as their Super Bowl winning quarterback. Michigan, of course, Michigan's on the list. Gerald Ford is your president. Tom Brady is your quarterback. Stanford had a couple of quarterbacks. They had Jim Plunkett and John Elway, and Herbert Hoover was the president that came from Stanford. And, of course, the Naval Academy, we talked a lot about Bill Belichick today. Jimmy Carter is the president. Roger Staubach is your Super Bowl winning quarterback. That means that one Drake May can become the 6th in that line. If he wins this Super Bowl as a member of the North Carolina Tar Heels, formerly, James K. Polk, president, was also educated at the University of North Carolina. So Drake has the chance to become the 6th to actually punch his ticket. And if a North Carolina quarterback and a Navy quarterback are enjoying that type of success, Yeah, Bill Belichick should still be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's right, folks. I am not getting off my soapbox. I am continuing to pound that drum, and I will until the man walks through the doors at
I
Canton,
appreciate
Ohio.
that.
But bottom line, enjoy this time, folks, because it really is a remarkable week leading up to the Super Bowl. There's a lot of hype, a lot of excitement. You're watching your favorites. For those of you where this is, I hate to say the term old hat, it's still exciting and it's still fresh and new. But if you're a Patriots fan that really wasn't conscious of what was going on when the Patriots were winning their Super Bowls under Tom Brady way back 6 years ago, long time for Patriot fans. But if you weren't, up on what was going on, and this is your first experience in this, I encourage you to take in everything because it really is a fun week. You're going to see, shirts being sold on the sidewalks and a lot that goes on during Super Bowl week that you normally don't see. So take it all in and enjoy the game healthily and responsibly on Sunday. Try not to do anything stupid. And bottom line, continue to make Patriots No Huddle a daily, a weekly, a monthly part of your New England Patriots coverage, because Derek Haven, Steve Balestrieri, and I will continue to bring you the very latest, all the ups and downs, the ins and out of Super Bowl 60 coming up on February 8th. Levi Stadium, Santa Clara, California, the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. A rematch more than 10 years in the making, and I think it's going to be a great one. And to answer your question from earlier, Derek, yeah, this is going to be a razor-thin game. I just had that feeling. So we'll continue to break that down and give you more on this game this week. In the meantime, on behalf of Derek and Steve, I'm Mike Debate, reminding all of you to stay safe, to stay well, to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you back here again next time on Patriots No Huddle.